Hola, ¿cómo estás, mis amigos? Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stiefel, and this is my podcast, where I get to sit down with guests from all across music and performing arts, and we talk about how they got to where they are, their path in life, the challenges, good and bad, stuff you face when you're chasing a future that you're passionate about. And like most conversations that I get involved in, it usually ends up veering off on some tangents from time to time along the way, but that's just part of it. So welcome. When I'm not doing this podcast thing, I am also a singer and songwriter myself, and I've got some show dates on the road coming up, so I'm going to tell you about them. February 24th, that is this Saturday, I will be in Noonan, Georgia at the Cellar. March 1st, next week, I will be in Little Rock, Arkansas. March the 2nd, I'll be in Richardson, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Then March the 4th, I'll be in Dallas. And then I'll be bopping around Texas for the next couple of weeks after that throughout most of March. So if you want to check any of those shows out, I would love that. I'll give you a big old hug. But you can find details to all that at jacobstiefel.com. As for the podcast here, at some point, I will be getting some advertising that I'll talk to you about right now at this point. But in the meantime, this is a listener-funded operation, which is to say that if you enjoy this whole thing we're doing here, then not only should you subscribe, but you should also check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. There, for as little as $1 or $3 a month, you can get access to behind-the-scenes pictures and videos and MP3 downloads that you can only get there. And there's a lot more that's offered over there if you want to go check that out. And all the money that comes in from that goes immediately to support the podcast here with upload fees, production costs, all the things that goes into making this thing happen. Because I put these episodes out for free, so it's really a go pledge what you think it's worth to you kind of thing. And once again, that is at patreon.com/DSM podcast. But as for today's episode, what we're here for right now is my guest and my good buddy, Rob Snyder. Rob is a great songwriter. He's a great human. He's a good friend. He's just a great guy all around. And he also helps organize and run a weekly songwriter round here in Nashville called Revival. And they do that at the Tin Roof on Demonbreun Street every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So if you're ever in town on a Tuesday night, then you should go check that out. But he's got a great story on the path that he's lived thus far in life, and I enjoyed getting to hear about it. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know, even though I've known him for several years, and I just had a good time talking with him. So here it is. Here's my talk with Rob Snyder.
Pick it up again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob, my name is not Snyder, right?
That's it.
Correct?
Correct.
How many people ask you, weren't you in like a Adam Sandler movie or something?
I get Rob Snyder, the stapler. It's like there's all those different things. They ask me that a lot, and then my response is, I'm not half Filipino, short, and a millionaire.
You can do it. Wasn't that guy?
You can do it.
You can do it. Give her the 5-second
You
pressure.
can do it all night long. Yeah.
Oh, that's you said you were singing a demo today?
Yes, I was.
How'd that go?
It went pretty good. Yeah.
Did you sing on pitch?
The guy said I made his job easy, so I'm assuming I did.
That's good.
And I don't usually hear that from the engineers.
I did a studio show, wine bar show thing down in Alabama a few weeks ago, and it's a recording studio, but they also sell wine, and they invite, you can fit like 20, 30 people in there for the thing. It was really cool. But afterward, the guy was mixing, and he was like, he had mixed a few of them and kind of let me hear them the next day. And I said, oh, cool. This sounds like me, and he was like, he said, it was so raw and organic. He said, I didn't put any auto-tune on it. I was like, yeah, I don't auto-tune that shit. Like, I'm far from flawless, but I don't want to be sounding like T-Pain up in here, like singing Portland Storm, like, hey. Just leave my pitchiness where it is.
I hear you.
Where are you from, Rob?
I am from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania Yankee.
Yep.
Oh, Yankee boy.
That's it. I did live in Roswell, Georgia till I was 6 years old. And my dad...
So you're born in
No,
Georgia?
I was actually born in Bryn Mawr Hospital, which is outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And then, so yes, Yankee. And and then I moved to Roswell, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta. And my dad had a job down there, and it kind of ran its course. And he decided that he wanted to open up a T-shirt company, and he wanted to do it back in the Philadelphia area because I guess he got tired of hearing my Southern accent that was coming pretty strong.
We can't have this.
Yeah, he was like, "No, we're going back." So I went back, and then instantly, my grandparents they saw I had a Braves pennant and a Falcons pennant, and my grandfather just took them right off the wall.
That's enough of that.
You're an Eagles and a Phillies fan now, boy. So,
Yep. Did you have a brothers, sisters, or anything?
I have a younger sister who is 5 years younger than me.
Very cool. When was music around in your family growing up? Were your parents musicals? Your sister?
Yeah, my mom was the lead in her plays in high school. Like I know one specifically, she did The Sound of Music. She was like the lead in that.
Oh, cool.
And then my dad, I remember like my parents getting together at barbecues and stuff and singing harmonies like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young songs and stuff like that, and some Bob Dylan tunes. And I remember that, but it was always, my grandfather on my mom's side was a drummer, and he did kind of like really cool like big band stuff. And I still remember his drum set. He's since passed, but he's got this awesome Ludwig drum set. So when I get my house, whenever I do get a house, that's going in there.
Going in there? Very
yeah.
cool.
And then my grandfather on my dad's side is actually a published author. He's written a couple books and since retirement, and he just always would always tell me stories growing up and these make believe ones. And I was in a band when I was like 19 years old, and I used some of his stories and just kind of threw a little vignettes of his stories in there.
Yeah.
And
it's cool to have that influence of not just the musical side, but also the creative writing side of things.
Yeah. So music has always been a big thing for me.
When did you start playing guitar? Was that guitar first?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember, it's kind of weird for me how it happened. Like, I remember when I was like, oh my God, I love music so much. I was with a babysitter. Her name was Linda Flaherty, and I was on Plymouth Road in Springfield. I was like 8 years old, and she had me watch La Bamba. And at the end of the movie, like, not my Richie, the part where the plane goes down, I'm like crying, and I'm an 8-year-old here.
Yeah.
And this is well before Google and AOL and all that. I went back to my Encyclopedia Britannica that I did not like ever open.
Right.
And I'm looking up, okay, who was the guy that died in the plane? And that was, Waylon Jennings, or not Waylon Jennings. He gave up his seat.
Right.
It was like the Big Bopper and Richie Valens and
Buddy Holly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm looking them up, and then I'm starting to go through my dad's record collections, and I'm like, he's got the La Bamba record,
together,
and he's got a Waylon record, and I'm like, okay. And from then on, it was, sitting in the back of the bus with the 8th graders, and I'm trading them a Guns N' Roses pin for for whatever pin I had, because my dad he had the upstart of his printing company at the time was called Prints on Tap.
Okay.
And he just had all these sample pins, but they're all like rock and roll, like Rolling Stones and stuff like that. So I just threw them on my backpack, and then the 8th graders really wanted them, and then I was just trading lyrics with them, and then I found myself faking sick, watching MTV. This is back when MTV played videos.
When were you born?
I'm 35. I was born in 1982.
Okay, right on.
So, I mean, this is where, it was like everything from I Want My MTV to like, I remember the Grateful Dead had a video. I think it was like Touch of Grey, but it was actually like their only mainstream kind of hit. But everything from Guns N' Roses, that was like my number one. I was just so into that. They just couldn't do any wrong in my eyes.
Yeah. So, you would have been... When did Appetite for Destruction come out? Was it in the late 80s or early 90s?
I think it was late 80s.
Probably 88, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But I just remember, like, just even going to the bus stop and, like, the older kids, we'd be talking music. I'm like, I'm in on this. And then I got a hold of Ozzy, and I was like, oh, my God.
When did you start playing?
I started playing. My dad got me a really crappy crate amp.
I had one.
And a white electric guitar.
Me too. That's like the standard starting set. Yeah.
And I think I was maybe 12.
Yeah.
And I went and I took 2 guitar lessons and I said, this is not for me. And then from there, I went and bought the Injustice for All tablature book and the Nirvana Nevermind book or something like that. And then I was like, I can do this. I don't need them.
Yeah.
And then from there, just, never excelled. I had a friend that was like a guitar player that I was teaching him, and then I went away for the summer. I'd always spend the summers with my grandparents at the beach in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And I came back, and this kid was just like doing, I don't even know what they're called, arpeggios or whatever. He's a
fancy like stuff.
Shredding. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, you're the guitar player now. And then from there, just, in 8th grade, I did a little band thing, and we covered Rage Against the Machine and some Chili Peppers and stuff like that. And then after that, man, it was nothing until I was about 19 in college at Villanova. And
did you play sports in high school?
I played football, and then I shattered my wrist pretty bad here.
Yeah.
And then I stopped doing that. I played lacrosse. I actually swam. So I was like as tall as I am now, but I was like a string bean.
Really?
Kind of.
I was gonna ask, because for those of you who don't know Rob, and you can't see us right now because we're sitting in my house talking, but Rob makes me feel like a small person, and I'm not a small person.
No,
but you are, not in a fat way.
Yeah.
But like he's like his biceps and triceps right now are bursting out of his shirt. He's a muscular man, and so I would imagine that you would have played sports, but I would have not guessed swimming.
Yeah, no, I was a swimmer.
So you were like a lot thinner in school?
I was just like, I was definitely thinner. I had like I had abs, so that's something I don't have now. I had abs, and I just remember it was going to the point where we'd weigh ourselves at our lunch break, and I would be eating like astronomical amounts of food. And I guess I still was shooting up a little bit as far as height, and man, I just was like fading away to nothing. And then I stopped swimming, and then I kept eating like a swimmer, and that's when I just blew up.
Interesting.
And that's when I decided to start to get back into the gym and stuff like that. But I lifeguarded for 10 years at the beach, like on the ocean, so that kept me in shape in the summertime.
I don't even know. Does Pennsylvania have ocean?
No, New Jersey. It's Long Beach.
I didn't think so.
Long Beach Island, New Jersey.
Okay.
I lifeguarded for Long Beach Township Beach Patrol, which is Long Beach Island is 18 miles long, and it's 6 miles out at sea. So you get some waves and you get some hairy conditions and stuff. And
what are the times of the year that you could actually be on the beach up there?
You can be on it anytime, but with guarded waters is usually.
I mean, as far as like being hot or
it'll
cold
be like
or whatever.
End of June, I think the guards start, and then they go straight through. The last weekend would be Labor Day. And then they have like a fall crew that works, that I did that a little bit too before, that you kind of just like roll around on a quad like Mitch Buchanan. And
yeah, man.
Yeah.
See, I can just see you running down the beach in slow-mo.
Oh, yeah, it was slow-mo. It was definitely slow-mo, but yeah.
So back you were in high school, how'd you break your wrist? I want to hear about that.
Skateboarding. It was back. You ever see those longboard skateboards that kids were into? Well, I was big into snowboarding and surfing, so I got one of these.
Surfing?
Yeah.
I've never tried. I've
Man,
always
you
thought
have
about
to.
trying surfing, but I don't.
Well,
The former Jacob couldn't have got his big ass up on the surfboard,
you
but
can.
I feel like I could handle it maybe now.
well, yeah. I mean, you're into the yoga and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so you would love it, man.
Yeah, I think I would.
There's that feeling when you get a wave and you just like you get it right. You're not just like up there like hobbling around. Like when you actually like know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I would also want someone to guarantee me that there are no sharks anywhere around.
I've seen them. I mean, I've seen them in New Jersey.
Oof.
Yeah, they're scary, but they got plenty of food, man. They're not gonna.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard somebody arguing about the sharks and being scared to go in the ocean because of sharks, and one person was like, "Yeah, but you know how small the odds are of you getting attacked by a shark?" And the other person said, "I'll tell you what it is. I tell you how to have a 0 chance of getting attacked by a shark.
That's true.
Not go into the ocean."
That's true. Yeah,
But everything's got its risks, I guess.
absolutely. everything does.
So, okay, sorry, your wrist. We can get back to that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was on a longboard skateboard, and I was meeting up with a buddy. I was a sophomore in high school. My parents recently moved from their house in Springfield, which is about 20 minutes outside of Philly, to the house my dad grew up in Broomall, which is about 10 minutes from there. So I didn't have to switch schools yet. And they were purchasing a house in Westchester, PA. So we moved it back in with my grandparents, and my buddy lived about 15-minute drive away from me, but I decided I'm just going to skateboard there. So we met up, and then we're right by a golf course, and I just start bombing these hills thinking like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Well, when I passed a car and I got the death wobbles where like you got to pick a bone to break, I just said leg or arm, and I was like, I'm going to go with arm. And I just jumped off, and it was like my arm was on top of my hand in the skin, though. It looked like there was a giant softball, and that was my arm in the skin. Then I was in the hospital for 3 days. Oof. They said I'd never be able to move my thumb and my other two fingers. My carpal tunnel was smashed. And all summer long, there's never usually waves in June, July, not until hurricane season in August. There was waves almost every day, and I was the video camera guy for my friends. And I had an open wound for like 7 weeks. They had these little guitar. It was like the high E string, where they had to tighten them to bring the. Otherwise, I would have needed a big skin graft. So, so that was the good thing on that. I did not study for my exams, and I got exempt. I did not have to take them. So I would have probably had to stay in the sophomore year because of that. So I got out. It was a broken wrist,
So finished high school with it all healed up and stuff by the end. So you left-handed? Did you become left-handed?
No. I learned to brush my teeth left-handed, but that was about it. Yeah.
Otherwise, you could still write.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they said I would have trouble, and I have no trouble with that. So, yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
What'd you do after high school?
After high school, I went to Villanova University. My mom worked there, and she worked really hard, like 4 or 5 years before that. She decided that that's where my dad went. That's where my uncle went. That's where, we always went. I grew up going to Villanova basketball games, and she decided that she was going to just get a job anywhere on the university to start out because she wanted her kids and herself and my dad. She got to put everyone through for free tuition.
Oh.
So she actually started off, God bless her, in the lunchroom. And then like it was culture shock for her because people were blasting like NWA, and she's like, oh my God.
Oh, wow. Now you may have said this, where's Villanova?
Villanova's on the main line outside of Philly. It's like about 15 minutes away. But it's a rich kid school. I mean, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So when I went there, I instantly I was realizing that I'm around a lot of kids and Audis and BMWs, and one thing a guy told me that I lived with. He was like, "Hey man, you want to go out tonight?" And I'm like, "I don't have any money. I can't go out tonight."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, just go to the cash machine," and that just always stuck with me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn."
Like you just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like it's
not at all.
It's not that I don't have cash.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so. How did y'all? So when you were growing up, I guess were you just sort of middle class, lower, like how?
Yeah, definitely comfortable. I mean, middle class for sure. I mean, we lived on the back of Rolling Green Golf Course, so it was like that's where I was go snowboarding like all the time. We got a lot of snow up there.
So a good middle of the road, like not.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Not living large, but not
Absolutely, yeah. My dad worked very hard, and my mom worked very hard. So,
what'd you study at Villanova?
I mean, I really didn't study. I didn't.
What did you enroll in and tell them you were going to study?
I was in the undecided program till they made me pick something, and I picked a major that was called liberal arts. And it's basically like communications, but it's lazier a little bit. And I took some business classes and all that. And long story short, I graduated 7 years and a summer later. And
what's that line from Tommy Boy where they say, "Hey, a lot of people go to school for 8 years."
Yeah,
they're called doctors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like Animal House. It's like 9 years of college down the drain, man. But it was. I went through some stuff. I lost some close friends to me. One to a drunk driving accident, another two others to drugs, and I just didn't deal with it mentally growing up. Where it's like I back when we were in college, it was like they were just sending kids credit cards. So I was like, okay, well my friend just died, so I'm going to go out to the bar and buy everybody a round of drinks. And then when I get the bill, I'm just going to like crumble it up and throw it in the back of my car. And then I'm going to have a parking ticket, and I'm not going to pay that. But then they're going to give me another one the next day. This went on for a few years.
Wow.
Where it was like Captain Dumbass. And just got depressed and like all that stuff. And then finally I just started writing songs.
I was going to ask, at what point did the writing come in?
Well, man, it just like, I always played the guitar, but I was sitting in class and it was hell for me just to sit through a class. I did not like it at all.
Yeah.
The only A's I ever received were, I think I did get one in Japanese once, and it sounds
Japanese?
crazy. All the football players take Japanese. Hamada Sensei was my favorite teacher. She was awesome.
That's great.
And then after that, it was basic watercolors. I rocked an A in that, and then the fundamental principles of acting. I got an A in that as well. Besides that, man, I was...
Well, it's an asinine thought to think that every human being should be able to go sit in a room and sit in a row and pay attention to this one person up front. And you should all be able to retain this knowledge the same way, and you should all be tested the same way. And it's just a antiquated thing. I don't know what the answer should be. I don't know what it should change into, but I don't feel like everybody should go to college.
No, I mean, and my mom will even tell anyone that now. It's like, we shouldn't have done that, know?
Yeah, that's just...
And she's also very proud that I did it, though, and like they know that I was doing it just to say, hey, I did it. And it pulled a lot of strings for me to not only to be there, but to stay there. And,
but you learned and experienced a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I did, but then I just remember I started sitting in a philosophy class, and I'm humming melodies, and the guy would talk about something that I had no idea what he was talking about, and then I'm like, I just start writing songs. So it's looking like I'm taking notes, but I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but I was just writing like 20 and 30 songs a week.
That's awesome.
And then my buddy from grade school, his name is Sean David, he hit me up, and he was a guitar player that I became friendly with like when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and he just started like playing me these grooves, and within a week we had a bass player that was a death metal guitar player, and then and then a 16-year-old drummer, and we were a band called Paint on Face, one word. And
one word, Paint on Face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like the Chili Peppers met Suicidal Tendencies.
I don't know what Suicidal Tendencies is.
It's pretty heavy, like punk rock kind of stuff, and then with a little bit of Sublime in there too. So
it's interesting.
It was.
Learning new things about you here, Rob.
Yeah, man. So we really hit it pretty hard.
So were you front man?
Yeah, with no guitar. I mean, I was like
bouncing around and jumping around with the mic and headbanging and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to have video of this. Do you have videos?
Man, someone has to. I know there's a SoundCloud page up now that's Paint on Face, and it's like recorded to tape. I sang it once. Down. It's pretty funny, but it was my first thing ever.
On Face. SoundCloud. Look it up.
Yeah, look
it up, people.
Yeah, it's the first thing I ever did. I mean, basically, he booked the kid took his college fund that his grandmother left from him, and said his name was Chuck Bonner, and he said, "All right, well, we're just going to make it." So instead of going to college, he paid I think $10,000.
Wow!
And we recorded this record live to tape, and I was writing the songs as we're in there.
Yeah.
And then we started.
Were you
playing.
the main writer of that?
Yeah, I wrote every lyric. So,
okay.
I mean, I did that, and whatever I said kind of went, which definitely hurt us because I had no dynamics whatsoever, and but I knew that it was something I really enjoyed. And we kept at it for about 2-3 years, and then we all started doing...
You were what, like 20, 21, 22?
Yeah, about that. Because, I mean, remember, a lot of our shows, we were definitely underage. Okay. But drinking at venues and stuff like that. And it was fun, man. But after a while, it ran its course, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. We kind of parted ways, and I was like, man, that's just not for me. And I'm still in school and trying to get through school and moving from house to house to house. Got evicted from one or two of them. And, little
punk kid.
Yeah.
Rob Snyder.
I was a punk ass. Yeah. Didn't know how lucky I was. But,
Man, talking about being underage and still playing and still drinking, there was a venue in Fort Payne where I'm from that when I was like 18, 19, 20, like first starting to play out, shows and do acoustic gigs and stuff. And like Fort Payne had just started to be able to sell alcohol. And so they had a couple of little venues that popped open. There were restaurants. It had to be like mostly restaurant. But if you sell a bunch of food, we'll also let you sell some beer because Jesus says it's okay. But whatever. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Don't get me started on my soapbox. But so I was playing these acoustic gigs and like for a couple of years at this place. And I'd drink. Like I knew the girl. I knew everybody.
Right.
But I knew the girl that was bartending. She knew I was 18, 19, whatever. And I wasn't making a fool out of myself, but I'd have a styrofoam cup with whiskey in it and whatever. And nobody got hurt, whatever. And then one day I was like almost 21. I was 20. And some friends were standing around and we did a shot. And like I did the shot. And right about that time, the owner walked through and like grabbed me or told me to come in the other room and went and like just blessed me out, cussed me up one side and down the other and said, you know how much trouble I can get into? I wanted to be like, man, you realize I've been drinking in here for like 2 or 3 years? Like I know cops that have been like, I know everybody knows me here. Like what's, lighten up. But I get it, but it was, that was.
And if he had a couple drinks before that, he'd probably been like, it's okay. They like to make their own rules.
He was probably just in a bad mood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pain on face. What happened after all that?
After all that, man, I was slowly finishing school. I took it down to part-time because I just...
Did you have a job like doing all that?
Yeah, I worked with my dad at the time who had
that T-shirt thing?
Yeah, well, by this point, it turned into a flag and banner and T-shirt and all that stuff. So he was doing the City Six, which is like Drexel University, Villanova, Temple. And basically, if you're going down Broad Street and you see the Temple Tees up there, that's what my dad's company, Metropolitan Flag and Banner, that's what he's responsible for. Okay. And then the giant flags that you see come out of the Phillies game, like they've done those for them. Same with the Eagles. And
it's a nice little business. He started up.
Yeah.
How did he...
Man, it's
when
a
he
crazy
started that,
story.
he just happened to...
No, it was this old Jewish guy named, I think his name was Abe, and he was getting bought out. He was like 97, and he was losing his business to the IRS. So he goes, look, Rob, you come over here.
Is this your dad?
No, like the guy Abe goes to...
I mean, is your dad's name
Rob? My dad's name's Rob.
Okay, that's okay.
He's a senior. So he goes, hey, Rob, you come over here, buy it off the IRS, and I'll teach you how to run the business. He knows nothing about flags and banners. Well, he buys it. Then Abe dies.
Oh, no.
So he knows nothing about the business. And then, they were getting a check for $200 and sprinting to the bank. And then, it's like 20 years later now, and they've done they're like...
So how did he get from that, not knowing shit, to doing stuff for the Eagles? For the Philadelphia
My
Eagles
dad is a salesman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, you meet him and you like him. He'll give you the shirt off his back, and then like he can sell ice to an Eskimo, that kind of thing. Yeah. And he's just an all around great guy. He's unique. Anyone that meets him, they'll never forget him. So
well, that's how he did it then, I'm sure. Yeah. So just hard work. How about that, people? Hard work. That's how you get it.
That's right.
So you were working with him part time and finishing up college. Mm-hmm. What's going on then? Do you know at what point do you think, man, I want to do music like that? I want that to be my thing.
Okay. So I am starting to get into this point where I'm starting to write my own songs and I'm playing them for my family, and my family's like, you're good. And then I play it for my family's friends, and then they're like, you're good. And then I play it for their friends' friends, and they're like, you're good. You should go to Nashville. So at this
As you move out, that's when it gets more and more legitimate. Yeah. Because your family always says you're good.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
So I go and visit Nashville for the first time in 2008, and at this point, I'm engaged to the high school sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely not the right situation.
Did you date her all through college?
Kind of. We broke up off and on, but it was like a 10-year deal, and it was a long time, and it was just trying to make something that's not supposed to be, and that's a whole nother story.
I've never done that.
Yeah. But I came to Nashville with two of my buddies, Skillet and Uncle Dubby, my two good friends. Yeah, we came down here, and we just had a blast, and I think I ran into Bobby Pinson, and I was like, hey man, I'm from Philly. I'm a fan of your music. And he's like, you're from where? and then from there, man, I just was like, all right, I got to move here. So
Yeah.
then I go back to Philly, and I decided to tell my dad, I'm not working in the family business anymore. I'm going to go to Nashville. And in the next year, I guess I sabotaged the wedding because I knew that wasn't going to be right. And
Consciously or subconsciously?
consciously,
Yeah.
it got to the point where I was like, we're both going to be better off. And we are now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we both know we are for sure. And then instead of marching right down to Nashville, because I was still like immature as you could possibly imagine, I decided to stay in my hometown and lay block and do masonry work with a buddy of mine and be horrible with money and fall into some of my old ways with the parking tickets and all that stuff. And my parents are pulling their hair out like, when the hell is he going to grow up? And that lasted for about probably 4 years, as I'm ashamed to say that.
So you just went the route of, I'm going to just make all the mistakes I can
Yeah,
up here,
pretty much.
and then I'll go to Nashville.
Well, and I knew I wanted to go, but I also knew that you can't run away from your problems.
Yeah.
Because
That's a grown up thought.
that was
right
one of the
there.
first ones I've ever had. And then once I finally started to get a plan together, I realized that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I visited Nashville a few more times, and I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm all in. I just got to go do it. And because for me, it's 13 hours away. It's a 13-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone at the time, so I decided to just like make a plan, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it when I'm 30, because that's how much time has gone by. So I was like, all right, 30 years old, that's cut off. I have to do it. Well,
Yeah.
and then I was out hanging out with two of my buddies. We were talking about it, and I was drinking. They were drinking. I was drinking more heavily than them, and we just had to talk about life. And we decided that I was gonna go. Like, I sold my Bronco, which is like, if I come into any money, I'm buying the same exact damn Bronco. I sold it with 72,000 original miles.
What year was it?
87.
Oh,
It was two-tone. Looked like a pack of Marlboro Reds. It was so awesome.
I can see it. I know exactly.
Oh, it was so awesome. But I hung out with two of my buds, and we were at this place called Barnaby's, and we were drinking, and they were like, man, you got to go to Nashville. And long story short, the next day I had phone calls coming up, hundreds, Facebook messages, 2,000 of them. And it was, my two friends drove off in a car, and they hit a tree and died.
Both of them?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, and because
That night?
Yes.
Oh man.
because one of them was a very famous celebrity. So it just got to the point where it was like they were posting pictures. My parents are calling me, and I wake up just, I'm hungover. I can't even put two and two together.
Yeah.
And it says, Ryan Dunn, an unidentified passenger, and it's my picture all over.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm alive here. And, I know we were drinking, but I was like, if anything else, I owe it to my family that I've been telling I'm going to do this. And I owe it to those two guys that I'm going to go do it. So,
Yeah. Wow.
So, I think the next week.
So who is that? The guy, Ryan Dunn? I don't know.
Yeah, he was in Jackass and Viva La Bam and all that stuff. And then
he was from your area?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually got close before that happened, just because of country music. I mean,
Yeah.
really. We saw a guy named Bob Wayne and the Outlaw Carnies play at this place called Rex's, and we were the only two people in there. And like, I just didn't really know who he was. And he was like, you like country music? And then he took me to like a Merle Haggard show, a David Allen Coe show. And it was great because he would stay sober, and everyone wants to buy Ryan Dunn drinks. So he would pass them back to me, and then I'd have a designated driver. It was great.
Huh.
So, it was weird that's how our relationship really started, was through country music.
Yeah.
But anyway, I made a plan with myself. I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I got to do it.
Yeah.
So I went down there I got down here without a car. And I flew,
Yeah.
and then I knew a girl that had a place. She said, if you need a room, you can have a room. She unfortunately had like 3 or 4 cats, and I don't do cats at all. So
I don't mind cats as long as they're outside chasing around mice and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
To me, they're like the devil's version of a dog. Not a big fan. So then I ended up meeting a mutual friend of a friend that happened to be, her name was Colleen and Trish, the two sisters, and then they let me kind of crash on their couch for a while until I found something. And because of a friend, I got a job playing downtown, like right away. Day 5 in town.
Nice.
And I came down with like no money. So I'm just playing bootleggers, which I think it's still there.
Yeah, I think so.
I was playing bootleggers like 5 days a week.
It couldn't have been around long when you got there, because it was
pretty new.
Yeah, it was pretty new.
Pretty much acoustic driven, and I just played solo. And then I started getting dealing with Bobby Johnson. I would get the scoreboard gig and stuff like that.
When you set out to come down here, did you if you were flying, did you have to sell a bunch of stuff up there?
Yeah, I got rid of my car. I got rid of pretty much everything.
Did you come down here thinking I want to be Rob Snyder, the artist, or did you come down here to songwrite, or did you even?
It was artist at that point, but I still wasn't I haven't made that change where I was ready to do anything like that in my head. I still was kind of drinking a little too much and just not responsible.
Right.
At 30 years old, which is embarrassing, but I mean, it's the truth. I just, I thought that okay, I just got to go meet people at Losers and stay out till 2:00 in the morning. And I realize it's great to meet people, but then when you have a write with someone at 10 a.m. the next day and you find yourself waking up at 11:15 being like, sorry, man, it's nothing's going to happen that way.
Right.
And I slowly learned. And then physically I was in awful shape too. I weighed about 80 pounds more than I do. And I was just still kind of holding just didn't deal with a lot of
grief and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, man, I don't know when it happened, but it happened about 3 years later, where I just made up my mind. I said, I'm cutting this shit. I'm like, this is my one life. And it was we all get that moment when we realize we're not going to live forever. And I've had that several times because I've lost a lot of friends growing up to drugs and drunk driving and stupid stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And it just hit me where I was just like, man, my dad got sick. He had to go in and get quadruple bypass, and I'm at 80 pounds overweight, and he's in good shape. I'm like, all right, well, I'm screwed. So I got about 5 years left in my eyes, And I just said, this is it, man. I hate the saying YOLO, but it was and I just, it's
as far as I know, we only live once.
Yeah.
That's
right. So
and I've had that realization so many times over the last 4 or 5 years, because I've had, just in the last few years, I've had people that I grew up with, knew my whole life, graduated high school with. I've had at least 3 or 4 that have died from overdoses and opioids and stuff.
Yeah, man.
And it's not just that, but it's I've seen people who are my age or close to it that are unhealthy, and then even 20 and 30 years older, I can see people, I don't know, I hate to sound judgmental, but I just see people, their quality of life is not good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live it's not I'm trying to live forever, but the time that I'm here, I would like to be as functional and as happy and be able to bend over and pick something up or get into or out of a car without going, oh.
Well, I mean, dude, I'm just looking at what the industry we're in right now. The songs are not making nearly as what they were making. And, not a lot of us have a 401k.
Right.
I don't think anyone I know does.
Yeah.
As far as the songwriters and musicians. And, it's you're kind of relying on yourself to keep yourself healthy.
For sure.
Because,
I haven't had health insurance since I was 26 when I went off mom and dad's.
Yeah.
And so, I find that's also another part of it is I, take my vitamins not just for myself, but like you said, financially, I can't afford to be going to the hospital, the doctor 4 or 5 times a year or whatever.
No, you can't, man.
Yeah. So you're playing at bootleggers, and you start going into all the acoustic stuff. At what point did you start getting co-writes and figuring out that, okay, I need to go out and meet people and get in and co-write and start doing that whole deal?
Well, the first time I came to actually do a demo was before I made the big move. It was a couple months after Ryan passed away, and I met Brent. Cobb came up, and he played at my hometown. And then,
oh, nice.
He's like, yeah, man, you got to move down there. Just being nice Brent, And I was like,
that sounds,
And he goes,
man. Yeah, come on down.
He's like, you can stay at my place. And so I actually called him up and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm going to come down. I have to record this song because I wrote a song about the whole thing that happened. And I went in there and that just got me, just singing a demo. I was like, I've smoked weed in my life and stuff, but that was the highest I've ever felt in my entire life. Just going in with a session and like,
was it like a legitimate studio setting? And stuff?
It was over at Legends on West Iris, and it was just like the coolest thing ever. I was like, I saw Swine, Kevin Grant was playing bass, and I'm like, he did all the Jamie Johnson stuff. I'm like, this is the best. I was so fired up. And anyway, that just catapulted me down there, and I knew within the first week I did not want to be the guy playing downtown. Yeah, I just like, someone would come up to me and say, "Hey, do you know a Luke Bryan song?" I'm like, "No, but I got a song that'll like make you think or just say something different." Yeah, it's like I got something that he might like though,
Yeah. I used to say, if they'd say like, you know this Luke Bryan song, I'd say no, but I know I can do Luke Bryan's favorite Allman Brothers song.
There you go. Yeah,
that was always my line.
I mean, to this day, I still I know about 30 covers. So really? If I go.
I know a bunch of covers, but it's covers that I want to play.
Sure. Well, that's great.
I was the same way though. Yeah. Like I never could see myself just being, and nothing against people that do it, but I didn't never want to be the dancing monkey. No. Just doing what people told him to do. No. And that was, it was getting to the point where I was really starting to get into writing. I was meeting some people. I know back in the day there was this thing called Alabama Line. Yeah. And I would go up Blue
there.
Bar?
Yeah. And I would go up there and watch. And I'm like, man, I'd love to write with that guy. But I was very timid, man, like as far as going and telling people that I even wrote songs right away, just because I knew my songs that my mom thought were good. Right. Like singing about a cooler or something, Yeah. And then I heard somebody sing a song that just like destroyed me. And I'm like, okay, better get back to work here. Because I knew I had the life experience to do it. Right. I didn't know how to express it yet. And then after,
it's an interesting point. Knowing that you've been through all the stuff that you've been through, it's all in there, but still trying to figure out how to get it to come out in the proper ways. Yeah. And then it was just chipping away at it. It was meeting some guys and, getting a pity right from somebody here and there. And then like hoping that I bring my A game. And sometimes I would, and try to, and then be like, dude, that's a great song. And then they're demoing it. And then who'd you write that with? And then that gets going and gets going and gets going. And I ended up breaking up a fight at Losers one time in front of Irv Woolsey. Oh, nice. And that got me a job as a bouncer. So I was like, cool, I don't have to play downtown anymore. Yeah. And then it got me hitting the road with a band. We had a Honda Odyssey minivan, and we had a 5x7 U-Haul in town, in quotations, rental. Because that was a lot cheaper, and we just start going back and forth. West Virginia. What band? It was just me. Yeah. Oh, okay. It was listed as like Rob Snyder. Oh, I got you. But my buddy Owen owns Schmidt Saloon up there, so he'd have me open up for. I opened up for like Cadillac 3, or I guess they were Cadillac Black at the time, or Cadillac 3, Brothers Osborne. Yeah. But then because I was a little heavier on the music side of things, like a little more rock. He had me open up for some funny bands, like some big, like 2000s rock bands. I can't even think of what the hell the one was, but Here Comes the Boom, whatever that. Oh yeah, I don't even know what it was. But talking about like you were saying, going up to people and telling them you're a writer, and then asking about co-writing, and getting into that whole thing. Like that's something. Like as much as I've learned and gotten better at things, I'm admittedly still not good at asking people either for help or to write or to do things. Like I always want to do, I always want to write, I always want to play, and it's something that I work and I'm still trying to, improve myself in taking those steps to go up to somebody and be like, cause I'm so torn. I may want to write with somebody, but I don't want to be that guy that walks up and says, "Hey man, we should write sometime." Right.
Well, and that's just the thing, man. It's they say it's a 10-year town, and it's like, if I look at myself how I was when I first moved here, even up to the first 2-3 years, I thought I had to ask to write with everybody. But and at that time, I got advice from a friend. He said, "You need to." I said, "Should I write with this guy?" And he was like, "You need to write with everybody." And that was Brent.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, man, you need to write with him and you need to write with anybody. And that was his nice way of saying, who the hell are you to not write with that guy?
Not write with somebody. Yeah.
You know, and I took that and I just wrote with everybody. Yeah. And even now, man, like I have people come up and say, hey, we should write. And, you know, I'm busy. You know, my calendar's filled like all the time out through April right now. But if it's a new kid from wherever and I hear songs, I'm like, hell yeah, let's write. Because, I mean,
you never know.
You never know. I've written two of my favorite songs I wrote with someone that doesn't even write songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you just never know. And also, I also like in my mind, sometimes it's hard for me to just, I don't know. I should give it a chance and just do it because I do the best. I feel like I do the best writing when like most people, when you're moved and when you're inspired to write that. So it's hard for me to think I just would have to get up and go write a song at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning when I'm maybe not thinking of anything. But I've never really done that. So that's kind of me ignorantly saying that.
Well, maybe one time when you get that inspiration, because you don't always have the inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, when you get it and just think of like, who's this sound like, or who would be, you know, who would that be good with?
Yeah.
And then just save it if you can.
Right.
Usually you can't save it. Like I get so excited and I get on it, but I haven't written by myself in a while, and that's something in 2018 I want to get back to for sure.
Yeah, I've done a lot more of that lately. Like for a while, Chance, my cousin and roommate, Chance and I wrote most all of our songs together. Mm-hmm. But over the last like couple of years, nothing against Chance, I still love him. We still write together. But I don't know if I've grown more just as an individual. And so the last couple of years, I've written and gotten a lot more comfortable just writing by myself, not having to lean on someone else.
That's great. Well, I mean, you got your own sound too. You have your own voice. And like when I hear a song within, you know, a split, you know, a bar of the verse, I know it's you, which is great, man, because there's a lot of people that don't know their voice. I mean, there's guys with major labels that don't know their voice right now. They're just chasing where they think the money is.
Yeah. I was playing an acoustic show the other day, and the bar I play pretty regularly, a few times a month at the Marriott over on West End.
Yeah.
Like on Monday night acoustic thing. And I played a new song that I had never played before, and the bartender that's there every week, she was like, "Is that yours?" I said, "Yeah, I just wrote it." She said, "I knew the first line." She said, "I knew it was yours." I was like, "Oh, that's cool as shit." Yeah, I've got a style. Who would have thought?
Yeah, man. You know, you definitely do.
Yeah, it's a I don't know. It is what it is. I can only be me.
Yeah.
So what's been going on? So I want to get to talking about. We hadn't even talked about Revival yet.
Yeah, man.
When did that start?
Okay,
like 3 or 4 years ago, something like that.
It started 2012 in May.
Revival 615 is that the correct?
Well, we're just going. I think we're dropping the 615
Okay,
thing.
so it's just,
the handle is at Revival 615, but we're just going to go Revival. Yeah, it was 2012. A mutual friend of mine and Cody Walden at the time was a girl named Brittany Felix who worked there, and she said, "Well, why don't you guys just start your own night, you know, here on like an off night?" And
so explain to folks that are listening.
It's a songwriter night, basically, where we set up rounds. But with our thing, calling it Revival, we have a church pew set up, and we face it to the back of the room. So a lot of people are drinking on the other side of the bar, but we just want to kind of make it like a drunk Bluebird setting where people can talk and drink beers, but like they want to pay attention to the songs.
Yeah.
And it's definitely shifted from where we started. The first 2 or 3 I think we did were 2 or 3 acoustic rounds of three people, 3 songs a pop, and then we would have like one full band kind of thing.
I think I did one of those.
You might
have.
Full
band.
Yeah.
Like
I think you did too,
yeah.
And then that got to be like, it was just got to be a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and
I love it. Y'all definitely honed in on what it is now.
So now it's just trying to get some new faces out there. And, you know, we just encourage people. You know, I've said some stuff in the past where it's like, hey, you know, we have some hit writer. It's like, can you not play that song? And people get like, what do you mean? That's my hit song. But like, we want Revival to be something where the songwriter, like something, you know, you play.
Or not even like, maybe not even like, can you not play that song? But hey, man, don't feel like you have to play that song.
Right, exactly.
If there's a newer song that you want to play.
And I've gotten myself in trouble with that before. you know, like having a couple beers and over a text message, and then it gets around town. It's like, oh, he thinks you suck. No, I don't think you suck.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you're 10 years younger than me and you have a house and a car, and I think it's awesome. But I also know you have other great songs, and I want you to come play, and I want everyone to feel welcome. And that's where I was with that. So that was a little.
My favorite part of the revival nights is when people start talking too much back there, and like you or somebody will like stand up and half drunk on the microphone and be like, "Hey, y'all, shut the fuck up!
Yeah,
we're singing songs up here."
Yeah, Channing will do that, especially if it's someone he really cares about. Like he will.
Well, it's good. I mean, I think that should. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that.
We were going to do that, and we also wanted to get a gong for when someone played a really bad song, but we never got around to that. So
it's a killer thing. I think I love going, and I don't get over there enough because busy schedules and everybody's got shit going on. But yeah, getting and listening to the freaking words of songs.
It's cool, man. I mean, we had some times there where it really feels like Tuesday night church. I mean,
man, some of those nights with Brent, Cobb,
Brent,
Adam Hood, and like all those guys.
I mean, Ronnie Bowman.
Yeah.
Then you take a hit writer like Jonathan Singleton, and he's in there playing Diamond Rings and Old Bar Stools, and everyone's just like, holy shit, this is incredible, man.
Yeah.
A lot of newcomers came through there, like Luke Combs. I mean, I think he signed a pub deal like after 2 years, maybe was it last year? It's all happened so fast for him.
Yeah.
And buddy Josh Phillips, he's got his record deal. I mean, someone saw him there. It's been cool, man. The best thing that I see now as just being the host and facilitator and putting the schedule together is two guys that don't know each other from Adam, and I put them together and around for a reason, because I'm like, oh, this is either going to work or it's going to really suck.
Yeah.
And I take a picture, and I posted a picture of them on the Instagram, I think, but they were like switching numbers.
Yeah.
They're like, man, let's get together and write sometime. And like that to me is what it's all about. I mean, just like bring
the community. The community.
Man, it's so cool. And I just love that people still care about the song, because that's what I moved here for. I didn't move 13 hours away to just write, a pop song. I just didn't. And not saying that I haven't written those kind of songs. I've written a rap song before, we've all swung in the wrong direction and totally missed. But it's been encouraging lately to see kids coming and like really giving it their all. I mean, and just honing their craft, and it's made me a better songwriter. Like watching some kid from, Kentucky that just moved here, I think 3 months ago, and he's just like kicking ass. I'm like, his name's Lucas Ebert, and he came in, and I sat down to write with him. I'm like, damn. I'm like, that's a fire. I love that fire that these people bring. What I don't like is the entitlement that, I'll get 100 emails a week and I'll be like, I want to play Revival. Okay, well, and I respond, well, come say hi sometime.
Yeah.
It's like, if I just listen to their stuff, I'm like, all right, man, I'll let him play. I'll put him on, and he'll just show up with his guitar case and he'll play, and then he packs up his guitar. He doesn't even realize that Adam Hood's going to play next, who he could learn something from.
Oh, yeah. No, you got to hang out.
And learn from
That's
people.
What those things, like to me, writers' nights, and I explain this to people, especially people from out of town that don't know about things or whatever. Mm-hmm. And somebody from a publishing company might be there. Yeah, somebody from a label might be there. Those are possibilities.
Yeah.
But to me, writers' nights are all about the community, all about meeting other writers, meeting people that are trying to do what you're doing slightly ahead of you or behind you, and helping each other out.
Yeah.
And being friends because you all understand what the others are going through or have been through.
Absolutely.
And like, that's what those nights are about.
Yeah, man. Like sometimes like some hit writer's going to hear some kid off the street and he's going to be like, who's that guy? And then something happens.
Yeah.
He's going to at least maybe get a cup of coffee with him, or he might even write a song with him. And it's like, that's the beauty of it. I mean, I remember I sat at this thing called Sing for Your Supper for a year. It was at Blue Bar on Wednesdays. Bobby Pinson was in charge of it. And I remember
hearing about that, but I never.
It was cool. I just went and watched.
Yeah.
And he finally heard that I wrote, and he was like, when the hell are you going to play? And I was just like, man, I was like, I'll play. I just didn't want to bug you,
Yeah.
Like I wasn't ready. Now it's like people are like, I need to play. It's like, I need to play your thing. I'm like, do you though? So now I come down and I just say, hey, why don't you come introduce yourself? I'll buy you a beer. See if it's something that even fits your style.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, come hang out.
Like these
Be cool.
Damn kids these days.
Yeah. Well, people, if you're in town in Nashville on a Tuesday night, you should go to the Tin Roof on Demonbreun at, what time does it start? 8?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Revival. You should go check it out. What's coming up for Rob Snyder? What's on the horizon?
Man.
We're in the present now. We're looking to the future. What's going on?
I keep getting nudges from people. And I think I'm going to make a record, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone back and forth with it, and the thought of being in a van drives me, makes my hair want to turn gray and then fall out. But I just want to make a record and see what that does, and do I want to do 2 of them. Really, I want to do a real singer-songwriter acoustic driven record, and then I want it to freaking rock.
Do rock, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, I think if you have the ability, the capability, and the opportunity, you should totally do it. Whether or not you're gonna go balls to the wall, van and trailer, 300 dates a year, whether or not you're gonna go, or any point in that spectrum, if you want to make a work of art, I think you should make the damn work of art.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at with it now.
Yeah.
So it's just I've been thinking about it for a while, and then just even going and singing a demo earlier today, I'm like, God, this feels good.
Yeah, so, I'm looking for. I think I'm gonna go back to Memphis this year and record at Sam Phillips again.
Hell yeah!
I'm trying to decide between if I want to do another EP, or if I was talking to Hallie Phillips the other day. She was like, "Why don't we just do a full LP?" I was like, "I mean, it sounds pretty cool. I've got 9 or 10 or so songs.
Yeah, there you go.
Gonna write some more between now and then to whittle down. I'd like to. If I was gonna do a full one, I would want to do get 15 or 16 songs and then whittle it down to 10 or 11.
All right, now this is a dumb question, but I should know this, being in the music business. LP is long playing, right?
Yeah.
What is EP?
EP means extended play.
Now, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make
at
any
all,
sense.
because extended would be more than long.
Well, I don't know the reason behind that, but I have researched what they stand for.
Okay.
And that is right. That's what they stand for. And so EP, I think, is 6 or 7 or fewer tracks. And then I think LP is somewhere around 8 or more, something like that. Yeah. I don't know exactly where that came from. I've read before, but
Gotcha.
I'm always confused when I'm emailing venues about booking or emailing people about stuff, whether I should say CD or should I say EP or what, because not everybody knows what EP means.
No.
Talk to people back home in Alabama. What the hell? What's an EP?
Yeah, give me a record.
Yeah. Give me your CD.
Well, now the scary part with music is I heard Ford is not going to be putting FM radio or CD player. It's going to be all XM in 2019.
I've heard about a lot of newer vehicles not having CD players. I mean, that's all the way out.
Not having FM,
that's crazy.
That's scary. That's scary for the music business. So,
who knows?
Yeah,
it's a crazy old world life thing we're
Nadia Saves.
We're going through.
Nobody knows.
I like that.
Yeah.
What language is that?
I almost said Mexican. That was terrible. My Aunt Rosa would punch me in the face because she's Puerto Rican. That would be Spanish. Yes.
Nadia Saves?
Yeah, nobody knows. My dad yells that all the time. He's like, Nadia Saves.
I like that. I may steal that. Start using that.
It's all yours.
Where could people follow you and find you and stalk you online?
Yeah, it's just on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Big Rob Snyder. And then Facebook, I think it's Rob Snyder Official. And then the Revival stuff is all at Revival615. And then there's a website too, which is revival615.com.
Very cool. Check it out, people. And that is Snyder, Snyder, correct?
Yes, sir.
Not Rob Schneider from Adam Sandler movies.
Nope, not at all.
If you could go back to yourself anywhere in that span of college, we'll just say at any point between 18 and 25.
Yep.
And give yourself some advice. What would that advice be?
Man, that's a tough one because, I kept in college just because I felt like I owed it to my parents. But that being said, I would just say, keep messing up, man.
Yeah.
Because I would not be where I was if I didn't mess up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, I just look at life a lot different now.
Somebody asked Willie Nelson that in an interview one time. Said, what would you tell your young self? I don't know if they said 18 or whatever. Said, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? He said, shut up. That's what he'd tell himself.
That's way cooler than my response.
Well, it's Willie Nelson. I mean, he's going to be way cooler than everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thanks for talking, Rob. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, buddy.
I used to drive like hell in my daddy's old Chevelle at 17. When I grew up, I slowed it down, but that road leading out of town still calling me. I just wanna fly. Old habits don't die. I was only 23 when I gave that girl a ring and all I had. You couldn't tell it by the pictures, man. Life don't always go the way you play. Still wonder sometimes. Old habits don't die. They don't break, they don't bend, they just show up like old friends. One step ahead and always right there on your mind. Old habits don't die. Now it ain't hard to tell. I could have hung myself on yesterdays. Yeah, I still got my skeletons, and every now and then they find their way. Just look in my eyes. Old habits don't die. They don't break, they don't bend, they just show up like old friends. One step ahead and always right there on your mind. Old habits don't die. Old habits don't die.
My man, Rob Snyder, finishing it up there with one of his tunes. Thanks for listening. You can follow Rob at Big Rob Snyder on Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow the Revival Songwriters Night that we talked about. And that is every Tuesday night here in Nashville. You can follow them at Revival615 on social media. And I'll have links to all that and more on the show notes page, which will be at don'tstifleme.com/047. Now, like I said back at the beginning, if you've enjoyed this talk, then please subscribe and share with your friends, anybody you think might be interested. But also, if you want to make sure that I can keep making these episodes and can afford the production fees and the online stuff, then and plus you get some behind the scenes perks, some pictures and videos and stuff that nobody else gets. So to get all that and to help be a part, you can go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. And for as little as $1, $3, $5 a month, you can be a part and help keep this thing rolling. And that site again is patreon.com/DSM podcast. You can follow the podcast here on social media at DSM podcast. You can follow my social medias. They're all at Jacob Stifle, and I run it all. So follow along, say hello, leave some comments, whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being you. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and week, and I will talk to you again soon. I think I got it all.
Hell yeah.
Woo!
It's fun, man.